Welcome to POSTCAST tonight. David Locke along with Ron Boone as the Jazz fall in overtime 116-111. Frankly, that's not really the story tonight. The Jazz played without Gordon Hayward, without Derek Favors, and without Rudy Gobert, and actually played really quite well. Led this game 84-66 before the Jazz kind of put the second, third, fourth unit onto the floor. But let me go to the first thing. The offense, Quinn Snyder said that this first kind of training, this week of training camp was really an offensive training camp. That he went and focused on the offense. And one thing the Jazz could not do last year was score when Gordon Hayward was off the floor. They showed the ability to do that. They shot the three very well, hitting 12 of 18 through the first three quarters. What did you see offensively from the Jazz tonight, despite the fact they didn't have Gordon?
One important thing here is spacing. You saw that, and you saw the guards, for the most part, take over the basketball game. Running the pick and roll, keeping the defenders on their back. They were able to get comfortable shots. Now, the pick and roll for this team is going to be very important. Why? Because they'll run pick and roll with double picks. They'll run a pick and roll with a repick, and I thought the guards really controlled that. Now, Burks really only played 17 minutes and 22 minutes. Trey played 22 minutes, 17 for Alec. They were the ones doing most of the damage in the offense, in the absence of obviously the Favors and Gordon. But spacing, I thought was pretty good.
Four different sequences of the game to me offensively. First one was Rodney Hood went on a 9-0 run by himself. Late in the first quarter, put the Jazz up 24-20. Can Rodney be the focal point of the second team's offense this year?
And I think that's what Coach Snyder wants. I listened to what he says to Rodney in practice. And if you listen, a lot of times he's telling Rodney to shoot the basketball. He's telling him to give it to Rodney in certain spots out there on the floor. And some of the drills that they've had using the shot clock, they put the ball in Rodney's hand. So I think sometimes it will be Gordon and it would be Rodney Hood in when they need buckets or in the closing seconds of a basketball game.
Then the second sequence of the game was when they went small and Alec Burks took over. The one thing I've noticed here in this is that when they're in the big lineup, now in this case they went small so that they were spread. So it's either when they're spread or when Alec's on the floor with Rodney or Gordon, who have to be respected, he seems to really be able to get into the holes. It's much more difficult for him maybe when he's in that lineup either with Trey, who they don't respect as a shooter, or it could have to do with the fact that Derek and Gordon are on the floor. When that floor widened out for him tonight, that's when we saw Alec Burks get to be Alec Burks.
And in transition. I mean, when he can go downhill, as Coach Snyder says about that, because he's going downhill, he has the defenders on their back, on their heels rather, and he can get all the way to the basket. And again, that spacing, that makes it easier for Alec Burks to get to the basket. I think you're going to have a lot of players that are going to have their moments this year. And hopefully it works out for Coach Snyder, because Alec Burks can have a very good night. We saw Trey have a very good night. Gordon, yeah, they can do it there as well. And then Rodney Hood, I think, is going to be the X factor as far as scoring and minutes for this basketball team.
Okay, I'm a little worried about one thing with Alec Burks, and tell me whether I should be or not about this. You're not going to be surprised with my analytical nature, but he's taken 47 shot attempts so far in the preseason. He's taken 4 threes. So less than about 8% of his shots are coming from behind the arc. Frankly, I think your shooting guard should probably be at about 35% of his shots, maybe more, in this day and age. Is this all right that he is just simply not taking the three right now?
I'd have to say no, because I understand what Coach Snyder wants. I mean, he wants guys taking three-point shots. Alec Burks did work very hard over the summer. I mean, he told us that he worked very hard over the summer to improve his shooting and get to the point where he can take more three-point shots. From what I've seen, he hasn't really been in position to take a lot of those shots right now. Maybe when the Jazz are in a normal rotation, and he might get a few more threes. But I think what I see in the value of his game is if the Jazz are going to play at a much faster pace, he's the one that's going to benefit the most. He had 7 rebounds tonight, and you're going to see him get rebounds and go. and he'll have the defense on the heels and go all the way to the basket.
All 7 of those were defensive rebounds, by the way. Led the team along with Jeff Withey in that regard. Stage 3 of the offense was Trey Burke got rolling. Trey Burke ends up with 22 points, and that was in between the second, and then he opened up the third quarter. He was on fire. Hit 4 of 5 threes. This was unquestionably the best shooting night for Trey. He entered into this game at 38%, right on his season numbers last year, and tonight he explodes. 9 of 12, 4 of 5 from 3. He really had that stroke flowing tonight.
He got into his comfort zone. He got into the point where his confidence was very, very high. You saw that he had a great night from the right side of the floor. From the right side of the elbow there at the free throw line, and either straight down the barrel or on the right side of the three-point line as far as his three-point shot there as well. And when he's on that side, I got a lot of confidence in his shooting. It's when he goes to his left and, those type of things where he doesn't shoot a great percentage. But it's good to see him. He needed this. He needed a very good night shooting the basketball.
He's working so hard. It's obvious every day in practice how hard he's working.
Yeah.
He's trying to transform his game. You can see him get himself in trouble at some points doing his old stuff. There was another play tonight where he kind of backed the dribble out of the traffic, and you can see him trying to figure out where he's going to be successful from his experience, and his practice habits have been so great. So you got to root for Trey and hope he'll turn. In the final, there are 2 more stages. The final good stage was the Joe Ingles eruption, and that's where it's interesting that you just talk about different players in different games. We're talking about Alec not getting 3 looks, and yet here's Joe. He takes 7, not playing a very different position. He takes 7 shots. They're all threes.
Yeah.
So different players look for different things, and Joe hit 5 of 7 tonight.
Joe got hot, and so he started looking for the three-point shot. And he did something that I don't think you'll see Alec Burks do, and that is you come off the pick and roll. He got inside the three-point line. He dribbled back outside the three-point line to take the three-point shot. You won't see Alec Burks do that. I mean, he'll come off that pick and roll, and if he gets inside the three-point line, he's looking to get to the basket, and that's the difference in the game that you just that you saw. But Joe is not a great penetrator.
Well, this side of Steph Curry, I'm not sure I've seen a lot of guys do what Joe did tonight.
No,
left-hand dribble inside the three-point line, swirl back, right-hand dribble back behind it,
and knock down the three. Nice move.
Joe Ingles shot 43% from 3 in the post-All-Star break. Can he be a 40% three-point shooter?
As long as he gets his feet together and he doesn't have to shoot on the move, he can be anywhere from 35 to 38, 39%.
Because it'd be nice if he could do the 38, 39, 40.
Yeah.
Final stage, and just kind of the pressure on these guys. Travion Graham goes 0 for 7. Bryce Cotton goes 1 for 9. Chris Johnson made his final 2 shots, ended up 4 of 10. Elijah was on the floor, went 1 of 5. Those guys got asked to be in a position in an NBA game to try to close games. It's just not in the skill set of any of them, and I think Trey Lyles was 3 of 10. I think that showed late.
And you can see the execution wasn't as good as we saw in the first 3 quarters. I mean, guys were and anytime your back's against the wall and you're nervous and you can see Graham. I mean, he was afraid to go to the middle. I mean, he kept going to the right into the teeth of the defense and getting himself in trouble. But Coach Snyder left him out there, and you got yourself in this, try to get yourself out.
Jazz fall in overtime, 116-111. We'll be home Tuesday night to face Oklahoma City, Thursday against Denver, and then it all counts. Thanks for tuning into POSTCAST. You can subscribe to the Locked On Jazz podcast. Get all the podcasts. Empty the Noggin available at weareutahjazz.com. Follow Ron on Twitter, 1041 straight. Me on Twitter at LockedOnSports. Instagram is DLock09, and Snapchat is DLock9. Thanks for tuning into POSTCAST. We'll do this after each and every Jazz game. It's the radio postgame show on the Internet. Have a good one.